Back in 2018, we get a telephone call from the Swedish church and they want to make an interview. We were a bit puzzled by this. We kind of accepted the invitation, but we did not really know what to think.
The cathedral in Lund owns the land, and this place in the northern outskirts of Lund. And when the city asked us if we could sell land for this new area of the city, we started a process when we were reflecting on, would we like to be part of this building of a new part of the city? And we decided, yes, that is what we want to do, to see if the values related to the cathedral could be inspiring for building the new part of the city. And we wanted to start with something that was in between and open for everybody, because one important value for us is to build community. We thought it was very interesting to think about if we could start with this public place and then let the buildings adjust themselves and relate to this open place, instead of doing the other way around, that you make the buildings and then you see what do we have between the buildings. So we had very philosophical discussions, and Geir and Olav were very good on philosophical reflections.
One of the oldest lessons of urban planning is obviously if you define a good place for people to meet, a good, strong, democratic public space, this can be really the heart of any new settlement. And this goes back to Greek city planning or Roman city planning. It's the idea of the agora, the forum, and it's actually something that you can find in every culture around the world. The first thing is actually the brick wall, of course, the enclosed garden, the walled garden is a very ancient type. The hortus conclusis is kind of something you would find in monasteries.
It's meant to be a place for meeting. The table and the meal as an important symbol. To share a meal is also to build community and relation. And that is, of course, central in a church, to have an altar. And a protected area. When you are on the fields, you can get inside here and you feel that you're protected and something that holds you in a way. An open place that people could make things happen, and we would like to kind of help them to make it happen.
Our proposal was that we make a link with the historical city center of Lund, and we made the story about a little part of the historical city center that escaped into the suburb. Then you entered the project, Tim, and what happened?
I think we had a meeting in Trondheim where we were talking about connection, or how we would connect everything together, and that was a point where we thought, well, if we used rivets, hot rivets, what would that be like?
Yeah, that was a magical moment. I think it was immediately after lunch. You had this suggestion, I think then everything came together, at least.
And the rivets just did everything, because they allowed us to use the folded steel and join it and make shapes with simple folds, angles. We spent a long time trying to find rivets, and everyone would say, we haven't used rivets for 70 years, why do you want rivets? So we ended up having to make rivets, which were then made in the traditional way.
By doing this, actually, we kind of take part in saving a kind of culture of material and culture of making things. This idea of refinement and true craftsmanship.
I think it's a very interesting topic, because the project in itself is very simple. It's just a wall in a square and one opening in one end and a canopy, and that's it. So you could actually take that drawing and hand it over to a contractor and say, just build this as cheaply as you can.
I mean, you have to care as an engineer, any designer, architect, you care in how you bring something into the world and how you preserve it and allow it to be long-lasting. And the fact is, the steel will be here in 200 years' time, it will still be the same.
So in that way, it's kind of fundamental to it being sustainable, is actually that it's...
You do it once, and you do it well. There's a lot of work that you don't notice in the engineering that allows it to be like that. The roof holds its weight, it holds the weight of the soil, but it also holds the columns and grips.
Because there is soil on top of the roof.
Yeah, and the soil tensions the structure in a way. So it stops the structure sort of flapping in the wind because it's too heavy. But it also, those columns are kind of gripped by the structure, so they can't move laterally, they can't move sideways. Simple structures often are quite complicated because it's easy to make a complex looking structure, but to make a simple structure, it's like having a short sentence. It's much harder to write a short sentence than a long one.
So you're saying it's almost like a poetry of the construction?
Poetry of structure, yeah. I mean, there is that idea that, you know, to actually refine something down to the minimum is hard work, and it takes collaboration and thinking together. Learning to spend more time in making and designing rather than throwing material to do something very simple is going to be really more and more important.
I think also this has to do with where architecture stops. In this project we have had this discussion about how much do we actually design. We think that when you make a public space, if you design everything, then it becomes static and it doesn't really invite different uses. Stopping architecture early, I think it's a strategy that can be important in every architectural project. We make a framework for the life that is going to be lived there. We do that properly and then we leave.